What's up guys, Tamrakshan here. Samsung's 2021 Galaxy S series phones are surely the best Galaxy phones as of now, with the S21 Ultra being the top spec one. But it's a very expensive phone which crosses the 1 lakh Indian rupees range, and for sure many won't be looking to buy a phone in that price range, and that's where the S21 and the S21 Plus comes in. And in that, the S21 is the cheaper version with a couple of extra compromises than the S21 Plus, and in this video, we're gonna concentrate on the S21 Plus, but then majority of the stuff stated here is applicable to the regular S21 too. And here as you can see, the S21 Plus is a good looking phone like the S21 Ultra. Or maybe I'll say that this is one of the best designed phones for 2021. This contour design schematic from Samsung is surely unique for a bar type phone because of this camera portion design. This camera section does blend into the frame of the phone, and that actually gives the impression that the camera portion is not protruding out a lot, even though it does. And here the aluminum frame along with the matte textured glass back makes the phone look very attractive. Now this glass back thing is one change that's happening with the regular S21, because with that, the back portion will be plastic. And to be frank, I don't think that's a big letdown because the majority does use their phone with cases, and also plastic is a better material in terms of shattering if we accidentally drop the phone. But then if you prefer premium materials, well then the plastic back of the S21 might not be an appeal for you, and that's where the glass back of the S21 Plus has the upper hand. Now when I tested the Galaxy S21 Ultra, it was a huge phone and that was evident in every dimension, but here with the S21 Plus, it's actually the perfect middle ground. The phone is a big phone, but the thickness is just 7.8 mm and the weight is 200 grams, but given the fact that Samsung has done the weight balance in a perfect way, makes the phone feel much better for daily usage. And also it's not a very slippery phone because of the matte finish glass and shiny side frame, and overall I do prefer this form factor over the S21 Ultra. And I think the S21 should be a much more better one in terms of hand feel because it has a smaller form factor than the S21 Plus. And yet this phantom black color looks very sharp and is also holding fine. And actually that's the whole case with the build quality of the phone. It's just perfect. There is no gap or flexing issue, and here all the buttons work great with proper tactile feedback, and the only port available, which is USB-C, works fine. And yet this port does support fast charging, and the phone has support for fast wireless charging, and even there is support for reverse wireless charging. So that's all great, but one small gripe this time with all the S21 series phones is that you don't get a charging brick in box. So it's like you need to spend extra for getting a fast charger, and here when I used a 25 watt fast charger to charge the 4800 mAh battery of the S21 Plus, well, it does take approximately 1 hour 30 minutes to fully charge from 0% to 100%. And this time frame is not bad considering the battery backup that I was getting was approximately in the 6-hour range in terms of the screen on time. And this was the value when I was using the phone in a moderately heavy manner. And from my experience, I think if you're an average user, you should be getting 1.5 days of usage from this battery. And here one more key thing to note is that this screen on time was while using the phone with its peak settings. And what I mean by that is that I did leave the refresh rate of the display at 120 Hz. So from this, you should be getting the idea that this 6.7-inch display is a dynamic AMOLED 2X display, which has a variable refresh rate setting that can switch the refresh rate from 48 Hz to 120 Hz. So that's a downgrade thing for this display compared to the S21 Ultra's display. And also major change or difference with this phone and the regular S21 compared to the S21 Ultra is that these displays are 1080p panels. So this time Samsung has taken a step back because they have opted to keep the resolution of their non-Ultra phones to Full HD. And if you ask me whether that's going to impact the user experience, well, I'll say certainly not. In paper, the S21 Plus's panel just has 394 ppi, and also the resolution stuff seems lower than the S21 Ultra, but in real world usage, it's a great panel. I totally love the quality of the panel because this one has good viewing angles, sharp colors, and also the peak brightness is excellent too. There is perfection around the corners and hole punch, and also given the fact that the side of the display glass is flat is a big plus point. And this display paired with the dual speaker setup does make the media consumption experience pretty great with the S21 Plus. The sound is loud and very clear without any rattling, and hence I enjoyed the loudspeaker output, and also the earpiece does a good job for calls too. So overall, to be frank, the number thing is just paper stuff, and in reality I think no one is going to complain about this display. And by the way, another change the regular S21 has over the S21 Plus is the smaller display size and also the smaller battery. But about the display spec, well, other than the size, the rest is same like the S21 Plus. And about the battery, well, I think the 800 mAh capacity reduction shouldn't have a big impact on the battery life. Because here for the S21 Plus and the S21, the internal spec is the exact same. Both these phones' Indian variant is powered by the Exynos 2100 chipset, which is a 5nm processor, and also the RAM available is 8GB with 128GB or 256GB storage option. And here the storage cannot be expanded, so that's something to keep note of. And about the user experience, well, this time this Exynos chipset is not that bad. The software version here is One UI 3.1, which is done on Android 11, and here the user interface is very polished. There are plenty of features, but it's not a cluttering thing, and since the processor is pretty powerful, and also given the fact that the display refresh rate is fast and smooth, well, the usage experience is enjoyable. There wasn't any sort of lag or slowdown with regular stuff, which is what matters to majority, and for such a use case, the phone doesn't get hot. But then if you change the usage pattern to a very heavy usage style, which is doing benchmarking or intense gaming, well, then at that time the phone gets a bit warm to touch, but still there wasn't any lag or frame drops, and that's a big plus thing for anyone who's buying the Exynos variant of the S21 or the S21 Plus, because last year the Exynos variant was bad compared to the Snapdragon variant, and I think Samsung this time has done a bit more work with their processors, because firstly the battery backup was good, and secondly, even though under load there is a bit of heating, there isn't any thermal throttling happening, and this heating thing is actually noticeable even in iPhones, so I'm not going to complain much about it. But then one place I wish Samsung could have done a better job was with the camera switching thing, because while doing that there was a slight jitter. I didn't experience such an issue with the S21 Ultra, but here with the Plus model I did notice such an issue, and it might be because of the lesser RAM. But then with the RAM management it's good, because 8 apps does stay open in memory if they are moderately heavy apps. So that's about the performance from the S21 Plus, and this should be the same with the S21 too. And now the next thing is the camera. And here also both the regular S21 and this S21 Plus gets the exact same camera system. On the rear, there are 3 cameras, in which the main sensor is a 12 megapixel f1.8 aperture wide angle camera which has optical image stabilization, and then there is the ultra wide angle camera which is also a 12 megapixel camera with aperture f2.2, and the last camera is a 64 megapixel telephoto camera with f2.0 aperture which also has optical image stabilization, and with this you can digitally zoom up to 30x, and here the optical zoom is up to 3x. And this camera package is a pretty good set one, because the overall balance is kept perfect with shots from all these cameras. For photos, the main camera is the strongest one in any lighting situation, and here as you can see the shots are very crisp with enough detailing and the colors look punchy. Dynamic range is great, and overall I love the shots taken with this main sensor. Night mode also works in a neat manner, so that's a plus, and here the telephoto camera is also a very handy one. Zoom in shots from the main sensor will create a lot of noise, and here this dedicated sensor's 3x zoom capability is perfect. Shots look sharp in that range, and to an extent even the 10x digital zoom works fine. Now with the 30x zoom there is pixelation, but still getting such a setting is a plus point if you need to zoom in that range. And lastly about the ultra wide angle camera, well, it's a good one, but it's just like all the other ultra wide angle cameras in this price range. There is slight edge issues, but other than that, such a wide setting is always a welcome option. So from the photo taking side, even though things hold great in this price range, well, there isn't any specialities or exceptional things happening with this camera system. And it's mostly just like the last year's S20 series cameras with just slight improvements. And that's also very evident in the video department. You have the option to record 8K video at 24 FPS, but that's a bad setting which I don't prefer, and I feel the best setting to choose is 4K at 60 FPS or below. And with that setting, videos are stable enough and also colors look neat with no focusing issues too. But always for videos, the best option is the iPhone, and this time also that thing does stay like that. But then with the front camera, it's a strong one and also a big upgrade from the last year's S20 camera. This is a 10 megapixel f2.2 aperture camera, which by spec doesn't seem different, but then while taking selfies, they look much more natural and better. There isn't any over smoothing or skin tone altering happening, and also the selfies look very sharp. And the same is applicable with the videos captured. Max resolution supported is 4K at 60 FPS, and here the front camera videos are stable and sharp with proper color reproduction. And if you are into vlogging, well, this front camera system is a good one. So with all this, the camera system used in the S21 Plus and the S21 is good, especially for the segment it falls into. It's not a first spot camera system, but overall, it's surely gonna take the second or the third spot in the segment. But the first spot thing is applicable with the unlocking method. Well, that might not sound true for an in-display fingerprint scanner from Samsung, but this time Samsung has actually got it right. They've used a better and larger fingerprint scanner, and hence fingerprint unlock works fast and in a reliable manner. And now some of the last stuff is the Bluetooth version, which is Bluetooth 5, then about the Wi-Fi, where it's at version 6, and here you do get NFC and all the other sensors, and even the phone is IP68 rated, which means it's water resistant for up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, and one major thing that should have been highlighted earlier is that the phone does have support for 5G, but then in India 5G is not yet available, so I'm not sure about the way it works, and also it's gonna impact the battery life, and one key thing to notice that the Indian unit just has support for sub-6 5G. And by the way, the phone is a dual SIM supported phone where one SIM should be a eSIM and the other should be a nano SIM. So with that, we have covered everything about the Galaxy S21 Plus. And here even after 1 month of launch, the S21 Plus and even the S21 is a very solid option in its segment. And the segmenting thing is based on pricing, and here as you can see, the cheaper one is the S21 with a starting price tag of approximately 70,000 Indian rupees. And for the S21 Plus, its starting pricing is approximately 82,000 Indian rupees. Now that might seem very premium, but pretty much all the time you should be able to grab bank offers and also some exchange offers. So it's always like the pricing is much lower than this. So taking that also into consideration, surely it does make the S21 and the S21 Plus a great option. And in that too, if you're not worried about the plastic back and a slightly smaller display, the regular S21 is one of the best phones that you can buy right now. That's up for this video, guys. Hope you liked it. If so, a like is much appreciated and a sub to the channel will be awesome. See you again in the next one. Till then, bye.